So I had a really fun idea for the video this week, and I thought because I'm trying to teach you guys how to do drawing and how to get better at inking, it would be really fun to go back through my old sketchbooks and figure out where I started and how I've improved over time. The earliest ones I have are from 2016 because that's when I started sketching seriously. I will show you a few drawings from before then, just random doodles that are interesting as well. Keep in mind, I just moved into this apartment, so I haven't had time to organize everything, but this is where I keep my sketchbooks for now. It's the first sketchbook that I took with me to Berlin, so I used it in the first few days before I got on the plane. This was back in early 2016, and this is my train on the way to New York City to catch my plane there. And for those of you who don't know, I actually ended up living in Berlin for a year, and that's when I started doing art as a career. But I started doing pencil, just doodling wherever I went, and my New Year's resolution was to draw every day. I just did some sketches of people on the subway, random things from throughout the day. That was from my first day in Berlin. I went to a coffee shop and drew that. You can tell I'm still working in pencil, doing mainly outlines. Here's some ink stuff, some early ink studies of a zebra, some more pencil. I didn't know what my style would be, but you can see I started doing some cross-hatching here. And here was a trip to a museum. I was bringing my sketchbook everywhere and sketching everything I saw. It was in Copenhagen, actually. And you can tell that my cross-hatching wasn't responding much to the shape of the form. So these lines are pretty straight, and usually now I would come around like this from the edge and show that it's a cylinder. I love drawing hands because they go with you everywhere, and so I'd sit on the subway and draw them a lot. You can just tell that I was drawing everywhere. That was even a concert I went to, I was drawing throughout. Anytime I was waiting for the subway, anytime I saw someone, went to a park, sat down for a meal, I had my sketchbook there. And I think that's how I got better, was just constantly drawing. And I was never trying to sell these or put them in a frame or something like that. I was sitting on the subway and drew this. It's still messy up close. You can see that those lines aren't exactly consistent, and it's actually very scratchy. But I think I'm starting to develop that 3D shape that I love that you can do with cross-hatching. You can see that I'm starting to follow the form a bit more here, but see these lines, they're really straight, and hands aren't flat like that. They're not straight. Same here. This jacket should be curving around and it's very straight, and here in the little crotch of my jeans, these lines don't bend around the thigh, they just go straight into it. So I think there was room for improvement there. And you can see something similar in this hand, although I think this is a little bit better. It's later, so I've gotten more detailed with my work. But again, these straight lines really flatten it out, I think. They take you out of the experience of a 3D world and they bring you onto the paper. Admittedly, a very boring drawing. It's just a spiral staircase, but I'm showing it to you because you can see here that these lines curve around the pole. So they're not just straight coming in from the edge. They're really responding to the shape of it. And then this shadow I'm also finding interesting because it's flat on the ground here and then it goes up the walls. This is the earliest example I can find in my sketchbooks of cross-hatching, and it's actually in one of my diaries before I really started keeping a sketchbook. It's from a trip to India, so that's why there's a strange subject matter of this cow statue. But I'm obviously cross-hatching here. I'm not really sure what direction I'm supposed to go in with these lines, so I'm a little all over the place. You can see I'm kind of swooping up and then not knowing what to do with this edge, but really using cross-hatching to communicate the shadow. So if you squint your eyes, you can see that I'm trying to show the tone of it. But I think it's very confusing with all these lines in different directions. What's interesting is that I clearly know how to draw with pencil, but I'm still struggling with ink so much. So I want to show this to you to prove that you can know how to draw perfectly fine with pencil or with any other medium. Maybe you're good at painting, and ink drawing is an entirely different skill that you have to learn on its own from the beginning, no matter what your skill level is. I had a lot of fun with this one. I remember sitting in front of the mirror and looking at myself and trying to sort out how to shade things. Obviously, it's a little sketchy. I think my main problem is this cheek here looks really flat in the forehead with this shadow, but it's fun. It's got some character to it, and you can tell that I was very serious drawing at the time. All these lines are flat, and that is a style of cross-hatching. I don't want to mislead you guys and make you think there's only one way to do it, but I think these are pretty distractingly flat and confusing here. And of course there's no outline, which I was experimenting with. These are some sketches I did at the museum when I was a kid. I would always bring my notebook. I would walk around and draw the paintings that I liked the most. And I would also do these weird drawings to try to figure out how faces worked. And I also did a lot of collages and stuff like that. And I hope I'm not showing you any embarrassing things in here, because it is my diary from high school. But yeah, I did some ink drawing in high school. Some little shapes like this. I dabbled, but I don't know what I was thinking here. But I found it really fun. One last comparison here. So this one was done on May 14th, 2016. And I like the values here, but again, I'm a little scribbly. And I'm not really sure what direction to make my lines go, and I'm not really sure how to curve them, so they're pretty flat. This one is from 2018, and a lot more comfortable with these lines. See how they're curving around the neck here. You can see I'm following that curve, which is satisfying to look at now that I've seen how I used to draw. I'm realizing that in 2016, not only did I draw every day, but I also took my sketchbook, I took it on the train, I took it to work, I took it on dates, and I drew everywhere I went. And I definitely don't do that anymore. I have a good balance between my work life and my personal life. But back then, drawing wasn't my work, so I did it all the time. And that helped me get a lot better. I had a lot of fun looking through those, and I hope you guys did too. If you want to see more of them, I can do more comparisons. I just thought it would be fun to look back because I focus a lot on the skills that I have now, but not enough on how I actually learned them myself.